You wake up one morning and decide you're done playing referee in someone else's drama. Not tomorrow. Not after one more talk. Today. You make one move, one clear, calm, uncompromising move, and watch the people who drain you start to fall away like leaves in autumn. This isn't magic. It's not revenge. It's a single act of integrity that changes the rules of engagement, and once the rules change, the game stops being worth playing for the toxic players in your life. Picture this, you standing in your living room, coffee in hand, heart steady. There's a voice in your head saying, dozens of reasons to put this off. You breathe. You decide to say the sentence you've been avoiding. It's short. It's specific. It carries consequence. You're not pleading. You're not bargaining. You're creating a boundary, and here's the critical bit, you will actually follow through. What do you say? Practice this line with me now. When you underscore, I will underscore, and I will not discuss this again. Fill in the blanks with truth. When you shout at me, I will leave the room. When you cancel plans last minute because you don't feel like it, I will stop making plans with you. When you gaslight me, I will end the conversation and go no contact until you can speak respectfully. Say it once. Say it calmly. Then act exactly as you said. You'll get resistance. You might expect an immediate meltdown. Toxic people often try to bend you back into old patterns: guilt, anger, tears, charm. They'll accuse you of being harsh, of overreacting, of making things worse. That's the point. The pattern is what protected them. Change the pattern and they lose the leverage they depend on. Here's the anatomy of the do this once move, broken into a sequence you can follow right now. Decide the single consequence you will enforce. Keep it simple. Consequences that are difficult to enforce are useless. Say what you will do in a measurable way. Physically remove yourself from the room, mute them on your phone, stop responding to messages for a set period, refuse to host them, or refuse to discuss the subject. Make sure the consequence actually affects the toxic behavior. If someone is emotionally abusive, removing immediate presence, leaving, hanging up, is powerful and safe. If someone repeatedly uses you for favors, stop doing the favors. If someone repeatedly breaks boundaries by dropping by unannounced, make it a condition: call first or don't come. Script the sentence you will use. Write it out. Keep it short. No lectures, no lists of grievances, no but clauses. Example scripts you can adapt. I can't be spoken to that way. If you raise your voice, I will leave. I'm not available to babysit on demand. If you ask me last minute and I say no, I won't discuss it further. I will not participate in conversations where my memory is questioned. If you gaslight me again, I will end the conversation. Practice delivering it out loud until it feels natural. Note your tone: calm, steady, non-accusatory. Toxic people count on emotional fireworks to distract from the boundary. You don't feed the fireworks. Deliver the boundary once, clearly, and stop arguing. Say your sentence when the behavior occurs, or say it ahead of time in a calm conversation if that's safer. Once you've said it, don't explain, defend, or debate. The minute you justify, you give back the power. If they respond with apologies and promises, that's allowed, but don't accept changes until you see sustained proof. The moment they test you and you enforce the consequence, the pattern is broken. Enforce immediately, no exceptions. This is the decisive act. If you said you would leave the room, leave when the line is crossed. If you said you would not answer texts for 48 hours, put your phone on do not disturb and stick to it. Humans are pattern seekers, they learn by consequence. If the consequence arrives immediately, the lesson is clear. If you waver, they learn that your boundaries are negotiable. Repeat only if necessary, but consistency beats drama. If they respect the boundary, acknowledge it briefly and move on. I appreciate you speaking calmly. If they test it again, you enforce again. Not with a lecture, but with action. People who truly want to change will show repeated, consistent change. People who don't will drop away. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. What happens next? Most often, three things can happen after you do this. The person respects the boundary and the relationship improves. They mirror your calmness and the dynamic shifts to something healthier. The person apologizes and promises to change, but their behavior doesn't actually change. You maintain the boundary and reduce contact accordingly. The person tries to punish, shame, gaslight, or manipulate you into rescinding the boundary. When you don't budge, they either escalate and expose themselves, or they walk away, and that's often the healthiest outcome. Why it works? Toxic behavior relies on predictable reactions: guilt, retreat, over-explaining, arguing until you're exhausted. When you refuse to provide those reactions, the toxic person loses ROI on their behavior. If shouting once got them control, and now shouting gets them a vacancy in the room, they either stop shouting or they remove themselves from your life. Practical examples so you know exactly what to do. Scenario: a friend always cancels last minute. You say, "I value my time. If you cancel less than 24 hours before we're supposed to meet, I will no longer make future plans with you." They complain that you're being inflexible. You remind them once, then stop scheduling. The cancellations stop or the friendship becomes occasional rather than central. Both outcomes preserve your time. Scenario: a family member constantly criticizes your choices. You say, "I don't accept constant criticism. If you start criticizing, I will end the visit." They begin to critique. You calmly say your line and exit. Later they call frantically. You tell them you'll talk when it can be respectful. If the pattern continues, you limit visits or go no contact. Scenario: a partner lies or gaslights. You say, "I can't be in a relationship where I'm doubted. If you gaslight or lie again, I will leave until there's honesty in therapy." They might promise, then repeat. You execute your consequence: you end the relationship or take a pause. Often that pause is the wake-up call needed. If not, you've protected your mental health. Handling blowback. Expect manipulation, tears, guilt-tripping, panic, and smearing. Keep records if necessary: texts, dates. If the situation feels unsafe, prioritize physical safety, leave immediately, involve friends, or contact authorities if there is danger. If you fear escalation, bring support or set boundaries in writing. When the person tries to triangulate others or turn mutual friends against you, resist the reflex to defend yourself publicly. Quietly tell mutual friends your boundary and why it matters, but don't explain everything. People who are truly close will notice the change in dynamics and either respect your choice or step back. Emotional housekeeping for you. This process can feel lonely. When you stop tolerating toxicity, you may lose people, and that loss can feel like grief. Expect to feel relief and sorrow at the same time. Journal the moments you preserved yourself. List the ways your life is better: more time, less anxiety, more energy for the people who reciprocate. Build supportive scaffolding: trusted friends, a therapist, a hobby group, or a class. Replace the time you used to give toxic people with things that nourish you. When your calendar fills with meaningful things, there's less room for old habits to creep back. Dealing with guilt. You may feel guilty: am I being too hard? Use a simple test: would you advise a friend to accept this behavior? If the answer is no, you're probably doing the right thing. Boundaries are an act of self-respect, not punishment. You're not trying to control others, you're choosing the conditions under which you'll engage. When to escalate to no contact. If the person repeatedly violates the boundary, uses threats, stalks, tries to sabotage your work, or continually undermines your mental health, escalate to strict no contact. Block numbers, mute social media, change logistics if needed. Clean, firm no contact is not cruel, it's a necessary protection. Reactions they'll use in quick comebacks. You're overreacting. I'm not reacting, I'm choosing how to spend my time. I didn't mean it. Intent isn't the same as impact. I need respectful behavior regardless. You're so sensitive. Sensitivity isn't the issue. Your behavior is. Short, simple, unemotional replies keep you from being pulled into debate. If they genuinely change. People do change sometimes, slowly and with work. If someone shows consistent, repeated change, that's real. You can decide to re-engage gradually, set clear terms for trial, and watch actions, not words. Try a phased approach, limited contact, clear check-ins, therapy requirement if appropriate. Protect yourself while you watch for growth. If they don't. If the toxic person doesn't change, your life improves fast. You'll notice better sleep, better focus, fewer stress headaches, and more time. Your social circle may shift toward people who are reciprocal and kind. That's not an accident. Boundaries attract people who mirror your standards. A short script you can copy and adapt when you're ready. Hey, quick, direct thing. When you, behavior, I will, consequence. I wanted to be clear about that now so we both know where we stand. Deliver that once. Walk away if you have to. Enforce. Breathe. 2 last truths to keep you steady. Truth 1: you can't fix someone else's toxic habits from inside their head. Your job is not to reform them, your job is to protect your life and to model what you will accept. Truth 2: holding a boundary is not a test of toughness. It's a muscle you strengthen by using. The first time feels awkward. The 10th time feels natural. The people who stay will be those who actually deserve to stay. Close your eyes and imagine your life 3 months from now after you set this boundary. Maybe one tense person is gone. Maybe several relationships that never felt good have thinned out. Maybe there's a new space in your calendar for a class, a friend who brings laughter, or an afternoon where you get to read without interruption. That space is not empty, it's fertile. So do this once. Say the sentence. Enforce the consequence. Not out of anger, but out of respect for your own life. Watch how the people who fed on your reactivity either change or step out of your way. Either outcome is progress. Now breathe. Write your line. Say it out loud once. Then act. The rest will follow.